You broadcast a Bitcoin payment at 10 Satoshis per virtual byte. Fee rates spike to 50. Hours pass. Your transaction sits in the mempool, the network's waiting room of unconfirmed transactions, going nowhere. You can't unsend a Bitcoin transaction, but you can overwrite it. The mechanism is called replace by fee, and it exploits how Bitcoin defines a valid transaction. Fee estimation is imperfect. Wallets guess what miners will accept based on current demand, but demand shifts. If the market rate climbs after you broadcast, your transaction becomes economically uncompetitive and miners skip it. The general fix is fee bumping, raising the effective fee on an already broadcast transaction. Two methods exist. Replace by fee, or RBF, lets the sender publish a new version. Child pays for parent, or CPFP, lets the receiver bump it from the output side. This video focuses on RBF. RBF rests on one protocol fact. Two transactions conflict when both try to spend the same UTXO. A UTXO is an unspent transaction output, a discrete chunk of Bitcoin. Each one is identified by an outpoint, the transaction ID plus output index. Only one transaction can ever spend a given outpoint. If two versions both reference outpoint A, the network and the miners must choose. Exactly one can confirm. The other becomes permanently invalid. That mutual exclusion is the foundation of replacement. Here's the mechanic. The original transaction spends one input worth 1 Bitcoin. It pays the recipient 0.5 Bitcoin, sends 0.4999 back to yourself as change, and leaves 0.0001 as the miner fee. Notice the numbers balance 0.5 plus 0.4999 plus 0.0001 equals 1. To bump it, we build a replacement that reuses the exact same input, keep the payment amount identical at 0.5. Now shrink the change output from 0.4999 down to 0.4995. That difference, 4/10,000ths of a Bitcoin, flows straight into the fee. The new fee becomes 0.0005, which is 5 times the original. Same recipient, same input, but a much bigger incentive for miners. Sign it, broadcast it. Because the replacement conflicts with the original, spending the same input, miners on RBF-enabled nodes will prefer the higher fee version. Relay nodes enforce rules to stop abuse. A replacement must pay a higher fee rate, fee divided by transaction size, so miners actually prefer it. It must also pay a higher absolute fee, covering the bandwidth cost of relaying both versions. Without these rules, an attacker could spam the network with cheap rewrites. With them, every replacement pays the network for the privilege of overwriting. If replacement is this easy, why isn't it on by default? Things get political. A replacement can redirect outputs. The sender could swap the recipient address entirely. Merchants who deliver goods on sealed confirmations, trusting an unconfirmed transaction, could be defrauded. To balance this, Beaple-25 introduced opt-in RBF. A transaction must signal that it's replaceable. If it doesn't signal, nodes reject replacements. This protects zero-conf merchants from accidental replacement. Full RBF takes the opposite view. Any unconfirmed transaction is replaceable, signal or not. Bitcoin Core now defaults to allowing full RBF, reflecting the view that zero-conf was never a real guarantee. The signaling mechanism is subtle. Every transaction input has a sequence field, a 4-byte number originally meant for transaction versioning. BP125 redefines it. If any input's sequence value is below the maximum -1, the transaction signals replaceability. No new opcode, no new field, just a repurposed legacy value. Full RBF nodes ignore this signal entirely and treat every unconfirmed transaction as replaceable. Now a hazard when chaining replacements. Suppose version 0 spends input A. You replace it with version 1 spending inputs A and B. Then you replace that with version 2 spending inputs B and C. you dropped A. Look carefully. Version 0 and version 2 share no inputs. They don't conflict. A miner could include version 0 in one block and a version 2 in another. The receiver gets paid twice from your wallet. The discipline: every replacement must contain every input from the prior version. Version 0 spends A, version 1 spends A and B, version 2 spends A, B, and C. Now all three conflict, and only one can ever confirm. RBF is efficient. The replacement is roughly the same size as the original, so you only pay for the marginal fee increase, not a whole new transaction. But there's a hard limit. Only the spender can do this. RBF requires signing new inputs, which requires the private keys. A receiver watching a stuck incoming payment cannot replace it. They have no signing authority over the sender's inputs. For receivers, the tool is CPFP, child pays for parent, where they spend the unconfirmed output with a high-fee child transaction. Step back, RBF is a microcosm of Bitcoin's policy versus protocol distinction. The protocol guarantees that the confirmed transaction is final. It cannot promise anything about unconfirmed ones. Relay policy, what nodes choose to accept and forward, is a contested layer where miners, node operators, merchants, and users negotiate norms. Because Bitcoin is open source and open protocol, replacement-friendly nodes will always exist somewhere on the network. Build systems that depend only on confirmations, never on the mempool. Confirmation is the only contract Bitcoin actually signs.